Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Selena Benavides. Today I'm going to be talking about discipline. It's such a huge topic for parents and it's so challenging. Research tells us that how we discipline in childhood can have lifelong implications. If we're overly strict, it can impact a child's self-esteem, promote fear, and actually lead to more aggressive behavior in the child. But if we're not strict enough, children don't learn limits and we see more risky behavior in adolescence. It's a fine line balancing how to do this well. So before we talk about discipline, we first really need to understand why are children acting that way. And I wanted to share some research by Dreikers on the 4 goals of misbehavior. He noted that children are typically acting out for one of 4 reasons: attention, power, revenge, or feelings of inadequacy. One of the first reasons that children typically misbehave is for attention. This might be some loud, disruptive behavior or pestering. And children typically are acting this way because they think that the louder that I act, then I can get you to focus on me. But if we respond in frustration and tell them to stop, it usually only stops the behavior for the moment, and then they continue because it worked. They got you to pay attention. So instead, when a child is being loud or disruptive, if we ignore the behavior and wait until it's a calm moment, that is more effective. So we want to acknowledge when they're being calm or when they're talking more quietly. So for example, maybe you're on the phone and they're pulling your shirt and they're saying your name repeatedly and then telling you, look. But when you hear a pause in what they're saying and doing, then you want to say, thanks for being patient while I finish up on the phone. I'm almost done. And afterward, we really want to spend time talking about what occurred in a positive light and focusing on what they can do next time. So you might say, when I was getting dinner ready, thank you for using your indoor voice to ask for my help. I really appreciated you being so calm and patient while you waited for me. The second goal of misbehavior is power. And this is when a child is acting angry or defiant. And they might be repeatedly telling you no or making it very clear that they do not want to sit down at the table and eat, they want to play instead. In this situation, you don't want to engage in a power struggle, you don't want to argue, because it's not going to lead to a positive outcome. So when a child is trying to exert control of the situation, instead you want to be presenting choices. So if the struggle is getting them to sit down and eat, which is a common one in our household, you might say, you can play with your toys afterward, or you can pick a toy and bring it to the table with you. You can also give them some agency in selecting what they'll eat. Would you like to have a chicken quesadilla, or do you want a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? And either way, you're presenting a choice, so it's giving them some control, but it's leading to the outcome that you want, which is getting them to sit down and eat. The third goal of misbehavior is revenge. And this might be when a child is acting rude or vindictive or destructive. And children are typically acting this way because they're hurt and they want to retaliate against others. So our first instinct in that moment might be to punish the behavior, thinking it will help correct. But instead what we should be doing is trying to reconnect with the child. So you might say, I can see that you're hurt right now and you're trying to hurt back. Do you want to talk about how you're feeling? And we also want to provide a logical consequence. And I have an upcoming video on this topic about why we shouldn't be punishing and instead we should be doing logical, natural consequences. But briefly, this might look like, say your child is upset because their brother accidentally tore the corner of their drawing, and then they take their brother's crayons that they were using and throw them on the floor. You would tell them, we don't throw crayons on the floor, so we need to pick them up, and we can try doing our art again later. But make sure you stay tuned for that video because I go into this topic in more detail. The final goal of misbehavior is feelings of inadequacy. And this is when a child is being withdrawn, passive, or overly critical of themselves. For example, we may see children who are no longer engaging in certain activities. So they may not want to be doing their homework, they suddenly no longer want to go outside, or they stop wanting to do their drawings and they used to really enjoy this, and they're voicing that they think they're no longer good enough. In this kind of situation, we want to focus on encouragement, but not praise, and I have a video on this topic in case you want to learn strategies on how to do so effectively. And we also want to set up the opportunity for them to have small successes along the way, so we're focusing on their progress and their efforts. I also want to say that as a parent, you're doing so many things at once, you're multitasking all day long, and there's going to be times that you don't respond well. And I want to remind you to have some self-compassion because we're not going to respond well every single time. And in these moments, we just need to remember to try to be thinking through, why is our child acting that way, and respond appropriately. And then it allows us to better parent to meet their needs and to have better outcomes. So thank you so much for watching today. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. And be sure to like and subscribe and stay tuned for future videos.